Oh, there he is. What's up, boss?
Hey, what's happening?
Chilling in their living room.
Chilling?
Well, with the wife gone, I don't have to go upstairs, hide in my little room.
Get to spread out.
Yeah. Ladies, how you doing this evening? Thumbs up will do.
Oh, it's so nice. It's still light outside, so much better.
And just wait till Sunday. It'll be even more.
Yes.
I can start doing stuff after work instead of coming home in the dark.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Dun, 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 dun.
Good evening, class.
Hello.
Hey, there he is.
Oh,
Hi there. Sorry.
We thought you abandoned this.
we were just drawing straws to see who was going to teach the class.
Hey, a lot of you know a lot now, so all right.
Yeah, we'll see about that when we try our first project by ourselves.
All right, sorry for the couple of minutes delay. Was wrapping another meeting. Been a busy day. Oh gosh. But I'm here. The last thing on the evening. Okay, give me a second while I set up some files here.
All right.
And our sharing screen. All right, let's see who's here. Andrea, hello. Ivana, hello.
hi.
Hello.
I see Jasek and Casey, hello.
Hi.
I see Michelle, welcome.
Hello.
Erica and Savita,
Hi.
and Dan and Joe, hello.
Hello.
And Scott and Heidi. There you go. Okay. Let's see what's cooking for today. So last class, remember to sign in. I got an email from who's calling me? Lisette may not be calling in as frequent as before. She do whenever she can. And we are finishing week 7. We still have 4 more weeks to go. And that's 8 more classes. So last class, we look at shared coordinates, very detailed discussion on shared coordinates. Today we're going to, I'm a little behind schedule, but today we're going to cover parameter schedules, rooms, and color schemes. Next class, I'm going to try to catch up quickly. I think we're going to catch up on this class because working with CAD export interoperability, that's going to go very, very fast. And I think also on the drafting view, we already cover some of this. The class I recommend not to miss is the design, phasing and design. This is a good topic, in particular when we're trying to structure renovation projects, which I assume a lot of you do at your practice. And this sheet and detail management is more about BIM management, and it's going to be things to be aware when working with consultants or with owners that demand BIM. and some of the contractual requirements of drawing deliverables and organization. For work system work sharing, I wish we were connected into the same server so we can work together. I'm going to try to see if I can provide a BIM 360 license, at least just for a day for this class, and we can work in an exercise together. But if not, this is going to be mostly a demo on my end. And then the last two classes is creating custom content from scratch. I don't see myself missing any of these classes. All right, so for today, let me I'll do a little recap of the shared coordinates. And then we're going to jump into a quick test. And this is where we left the last class. We were able to establish shared coordinates with a site. Just that we remind the process. Shared coordinates, it's a setup that happen once in the life cycle of a project. Usually the BIM manager help start this process before a project kicks in. And so the process is made of 4 steps. We discuss with Civil a project that determine the shared coordinate system. And we align the survey point to a point agreed with Civil, usually an intersection of a road or the corner of a boundary, some property lines. Then we can derive a topography. We create a topography based on a CAD file. There was an extra topic there. Then we link this source into all the consultant files. And then the link file is moved, rotated and aligned to your project. You never move your project to the link location. You move the link to your project. And then we acquire shared coordinates. And that's where we end up last time. Once shared coordinates are established, you're going to see that there is a parameter that's already populated. The shared site parameter of the link model is called the default site. And a site, is the default name. The default site is the default name of a shared coordinate system. Okay, so when shared coordinates are established, I could remove this link and say, for example, you have a landscape architect or a civil architect, and they're sending you a new copy of the civil information. Then all you need to do is to reload the link using shared coordinates. So you don't have to do this, but let's pretend that, that Civil sent an updated civil drawing, or the landscape sent us an updated landscape model. All we need to do moving forward is to relink the file. I'm going to add that. Oh gosh, where was it? I think I was using the D drive. Share coordinates. Site's not here. Let me find it. If like This is a quick tip. Like if you want to know where the last file you were, you just switch to the welcome screen, hover over a file. It will take you where it is. It was under D test. You hover over and it will disclose the path for you. Okay, so if I want to reload a new version of the link, you just go under the manage link, add, and I'm going to go to D test. Here is the site. And now moving forward from this point forward, you use always by shared coordinates because the shared coordinates are already established. And so hit OK. And this should fall exactly in the same spot. Moving forward, these two files will be aligned and they will not shift unless somebody manually do that. I would recommend you to pin the every link so that it doesn't get moved by mistake. When you pin something, the link cannot be dragged out. If a model with established shared coordinates is dragged out, check what happens. Like if you were in the middle of modeling and then suddenly you by mistake drag a link and this link has established shared coordinates, you're going to receive this message. It's a warning saying that the shared sites, which mean the shared coordinates, the shared coordinates of the library has been modified, but has not been saved back to the link. Upon reopening, instances of the link will return at the last saved positions. You can save the link later via the Manage Links dialog. And so the options, this warning is really a bad warning. Because what Revit is telling you is that right now there is a uncoordinated location of shared coordinates, and Revit is attempting to alleviate this coordination. And so if you're presented with this dialog box and you click Save It Now, what you're actually doing is publishing the architectural SharePoint into the link. And what we're actually doing is modifying the link location. So I think this is the only dialog box where saving is bad. Like if you save here, we will be modifying the location of the shared coordinate system in the link. And that's not a good practice. That's gonna mess the shared coordinates. And so if you ever come across this message, always hit cancel. And cancel is gonna return the link to the coordinated place. Now, to avoid that message to appear, just pin the link and then no one will be able to change or move the link inadvertently. Then the next step was to link this model into structural, establish shared coordinates, and then we will repeat the process. And then you do that with every discipline, and then you will be able to cross-link discipline with discipline using shared coordinates. I mean, after the structural establish shared coordinates with the site, then you can link the structural and the architectural using shared coordinates. And the whole system should be using the same thing. The shared coordinates must be documented in the project execution plan. It's one of those pieces of information that must be disclosed and shared in the in one of the chapters of the execution plan. And usually what you want to capture is where the shared coordinate sits. In this case is here. And then what is the value of the project base point? The project base point typically sits at the intersection of a grid. So, and it's usually the one that holds the elevation of an alternate coordinate for the elevation. So the last thing I'm going to do is move the project base point to an intersection, and that should do it. Yesterday, who asked me? I think it was Dan, or it might be you, Joel, asked me, how do we relocate a project? Like if we needed to move an entire building by a certain distance because it's, I don't know, maybe it's overlapping a setback or on top of a boundary, a property boundary, then the way to do this is using the relocate project. So a relocate project, what it does is shift the entire world except the links with shared coordinates. And so everything, the elevations, the views, the 3D model, the project base points, the insertion point, everything moves except the shared coordinate point and links that have shared coordinates. And so if I need to relocate this by a certain distance, you go to the Manage tab and then go to the position drop-down list, and there's a button called Relocate Project. That you select a handle. This is where you move in the building from, and then you select a destination point. So if I need to move the whole thing 5 feet, I'll do that. And notice that everything moved except the link file. I'm going to do it again, but maybe I'll do it or more. So again, I go to relocate project. You pick a point source, a destination source, and notice how the link remain in the back. Everything that shared coordinates will remain where it is. And now this operation of relocating a project needs to be done by every consultant so that we don't miss an alignment there. Okay. So that is it for shared coordinates. Any question about this? Okay, so I'm going to close this file. And it's time to do a little test. All right, you know how to do this. You go to slido.com and enter the number 509857. This is all shared coordinates test. So if you pay attention in the last class, everything should be straightforward. All right, we're ready. Now launch question 1. You have 7 people on the test. Nine. All right, I think we all are here. All right, what is the maximum size of a model in Revit? Last call. Is it 2 cubic miles, 20 cubic miles, 20 acres? Is it unlimited? Bingo, majority of you got that correct. It's a 20 cubic mile. So imagine a three-dimensional cube, 20 by 20 by 20. That is the maximum space you can create a model. It's not 2 cubic miles and not 20 acres. And it's usually, this is the result. 20 miles is the distance at which mathematical calculations are going to start failing on the analytical side. And that's why they don't recommend to go beyond that distance. If a link file or a CAD file has an extent greater than 20 miles, it will give you an error message. And then we want to be able to, we need to solve that error, or otherwise you're going to have graphical problems. Next question. Oh, look, I have a leaderboards today. Good job, Ivana. So the leaderboard is whether the question is correct and how fast you answer. All right, the relative point in space that anchor models across discipline is it the internal origin? Is it the project base point, survey point, or is it the center point? The relative point that anchors model across disciplines. Eight answers in. Okay, last chance. Let's see the correct answer. Majority of you got it right. The survey point, which has the shape of a triangle, is the point that needs to be that establishes shared coordinates, and is the point that anchors model across disciplines. Project base point, it's just a secondary coordinate system. Center point is the geometrical center. All right. Casey got this correct. Good job, Casey, Erica, and Michelle. All right, next question. It's all about the points. A relative point that allows levels to report a different elevation. Is it the internal origin? Is it the project base point, the survey point, or the center point? So remember, levels can report elevations relative to the ground level or elevations relative to sea level. So there's one point that enables us to do that. All right. All answers in. Let's see. Majority of you got this right. The project base point, right? That's the purpose of the project base point. Create an alternate coordinate system that you can use to report a different elevation value, and then your levels could report datum based on that alternate coordinate system. Right, next one. On this one, Erica got it right. Michelle, Savita, good job. Three of three. That means the top four people, the top 4 rows have not missed a correct answer. Good job. Next question. The point that indicates the center of Revit space. The internal origin, the project base point, the survey point of the center point. The point in Revit that indicates the geometrical center of Revit space. Eight answers in. All answers in. Let's see. Whoa, we almost split in half there. The correct answer is internal origin. Yeah, the center point doesn't exist as a point in the shared coordinates, so this shouldn't have been picked. But I get it that, it says center of Revit space, center point. But the proper name is internal. Internal is it's visible. You can see actually a 3-dimensional gizmo associated with that, but you cannot move it. It doesn't report coordinates. It's only useful when you link elements origin to origin. But that's pretty much the use of the internal origin. So good job for those who answered it right. And the leaderboard goes like this. Joel got it correct. He has 4 of 4 correct. Good job, Ivana, Dan, and Erica. Let's do question number 5. And the internal origin is fixed and cannot be changed or edited. Is that true or false? I guess I just said that. Eight answers in. 10 answers in. Yeah, majority got it correct. Internal origin is fixed. You cannot move an origin. The origin is it's an absolute point in Revit. Okay, Dan and Ivana, very close. Erica, Jacek, good job. Okay, question number 6. The following are best practices to keep shared coordinates across model, except. So everything you read here, it's a good practice, except one thing. Pin every linked model. Discuss with civil allocation for the shared coordinate point. Publish coordinates to link files. Align the project base point with a column grid intersection. Nine answers in. Last chance. All right, let's see the results. Majority of you got this right. Publish coordinates to link file is not a recommended method of the stop. Sorry, my dog. We have a publishing coordinates is not a good practice because we're actually editing the location of a shared coordinate in a link model. And that's going to, we never edit consultant files. So we pin every link model. That's a good practice. We don't want them move them by mistake. We also discuss with civil the location of the shared coordinate point. That's a good practice. And we typically align a project base point with a column grid intersection. And so the incorrect, the not good practice is to publish coordinates to link file. All right, good job, Ivana. 5 of 6. Last question. While modeling under pressure of a deadline, Revit presents you with this error message. How do you deal with that? Do you click cancel? Do you click OK? Do you click save now, or do you click show and expand? Or do nothing? I just mentioned this at the start of the class. All right, last chance. Okay. Yes, everybody except one person got it correct. We always hit cancel because if we click save now, we're going to be publishing the shared coordinates into the link file, and that's a no-no. If you hit OK, you're basically ignoring it. But then when you click save, the same message is gonna pop up. And so you're not addressing the issue. Every time you synchronize with Central, this message will be popping up again. Okay, so the winner of this challenge is Ivana.
Do I get a prize?
Yes, so you did 6 of 7. And this was the hardest question in the test. You know, what it says here. I don't know what it says here. Oh, high controls here. The point in Revit that indicates the center space. Yeah, that was tricky because I mentioned the center and everybody picked center point. So I guess we're gonna send Ivana to the Revit Olympics.
Yay.
Good job. And good job, Erica and Dan and Jason and Joel.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on. All right, so we're going to talk about parameters and share parameters. And for that, I'm going to open an out-of-the-box file. So I hope everybody I know a couple of you have issues with this sample content, but let's see if this file is in everybody's workstation. So hit this, the home button is the home button is the button that's next to the big R, and that displays the Revit UI. And the reason I'm doing this is because under the File tab, and if you just hover over Open, don't click on Open, just hover over to display the drop-down menu. If you hit this, if you scroll down, you're gonna get to the sample files. And inside the sample files, you should find the RAC Advanced Sample Project. RAC_ Advanced Sample Project. Don't pick the RST or the RME, that's Revit Mechanical, Revit Structure. What we want is the Revit Architecture Advanced Sample Project. And then hit OK.
I only have the RAC basic sample project.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to save this file in the Google Drive, and then I'm going to put a link. Save as a project under the Google Drive. I'm going to put it under documentation, and this is the RAC Advanced Sample Project. And I'm going to share the link in a second. Excellent. Okay, and on the chat panel, I just pasted the location of that file. Another thing I'm going to do, and it's I have a 4K display that's making my things go nuts, so I'm going to remove. I'm going to return this to 1980, 1920 by 1080. Stop sharing and reshare again. Oh, Ivana, remember last time you were having issue with the color of the object styles? I forgot to ask you if you have a 4K display.
I have no idea.
Because usually high resolution monitors usually display that problem with, in particular with the colors. And so it's a bug. I think it's been reported. But there was nothing wrong on your end. It's a Revit bug of behaving in high.
Oh, okay. That's possible.
Yeah. In particular, if it's a good, the better the graphic cards, the higher the resolution you can display. So that's probably what was happening. Okay, so I place a link to the file, and this is a 3-story school in, I don't know, I think it was in Germany. And Revit acquired this, Autodesk acquired the rights of use these data sets some time ago.
But this is just for people who don't have the sample file,
Yeah, this is
the link.
the link, yes. But if you have it, you're fine.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to talk about parameters. Let me pull one slide up. And this is just a refresher. We know this already. The instance properties of an object are properties that are unique to an object. And the type properties are parameters or properties that are common to every element belonging to the same type. So this is going to be in the test next Thursday. And we know this already. You know what type property is and an instance property. When you select an object, everything that is displayed on the property window, that is an instance property. And then to access the type properties, you click the edit type button, and that's going to display all the common parameters of that type. If you change the type property, it's going to change it to all the elements that are present in the project. And so when we create, when we're talking about creating custom information, we're talking about adding additional pieces of information to Revit material, to Revit objects or Revit assemble. And when we add a parameter, we need to choose what type of information is going to convey. In this example, Revit has different type of information. At the base level, it has dimensional information, dimensional values. For example, the height of this door, it's 4 and the sill is 3 and the width is 3. And so these are dimensional values, and the cell that holds this value is formatted to report that kind of units. On the other hand, we have we have a mark value of a window, for example. The mark value is an instance parameter because it's displayed under the properties, and this is a value that you type, and it reports text information. There are other parameters that display materials, like everything under the material and construction, material and finishes group. Those are material parameters. And there are other types. For example, you can add keynotes. You can add textual information like model, manufacturer, comments. You can add URLs. And when we create additional pieces of information into Revit, it's because that information is important for the specification of the object, and it's important for communicating design intent to the contractor. And so when we create a new custom parameter, we need to decide the first thing, it's what type of information is going to hold. Is it going to hold dimensions, numbers, integers, percentage, money? Is it going to be a yes and no checkbox? Is it going to be a material? And so what kind of information the new parameter is going to have? Then we need to decide whether it's going to be a type property or an instance property. And then we need to decide which category is going to be added to. And where in the list of parameters is going to get grouped. When we create a custom parameter, we make all those choices. A parameter can be added to the identity data, so it's going to be placed under this group, or could be added under the construction data or the dimensional groups. And these groups are ways to organize the data inside the instance and type parameter. Okay, and all right, so going back to the project, it right has this open, right? I'm going to switch to the entry level, the floor plan entry level. And I'm going to explore some properties of the doors. I select any door in the project. I'm going to stack this here on the side. The information reported by the instance properties include system parameters, and these are out of the box, and these are category specific. So that means that every door created in Revit, by definition, is going to have those type of parameters. These parameters, you cannot create them, you cannot delete them. They are just what they are. System parameters are category specific, and they are out of the box. Then we're going to have custom parameters. A custom parameter in this example, I believe the frame. No, these are system. Let's see one that is not system. These guys. The head height that you see here, it's a custom parameter, and this is a project parameter. A project parameter is a parameter that you create inside a project, and it reports some type of units, and it's associated to the category of doors. We have also multi-category parameters, which are parameters that are common across a multiple types of multiple instances, multiple families. In the type properties, for example, a lot of the properties that live in under the identity data are multi-categories. An example is Keynote model manufacturer. These are multi-category because more than one category have them. The same parameter exists across multiple categories. And then And then we have another type of parameters, which is kind of unique. This is called a schedule key. A scheduled key, it's a value that act as a key for another database. So these parameter called hardware, it's a parameter that is predefined with a set of values. Right now it says none, but you can configure a hardware group to have 10 different numbers. And then the value that you place here automatically associate a combination of parameters at the bottom of all the instance properties. And so these parameters, the value of these parameters are driven by a key. And when this is useful, when you're doing like hardware groups, or when you're doing like room styles or finish styles. In the case of rooms, for example, if you have a room style type A, then that comes with a predefined set of finish types. So it's a way to connect Revit with a new set of predefined combination of values. That makes sense? All right, so the bottom line is that what you see in the instance and type properties, it's a lot of different type of parameters. They could be instance, they could be type, they could be single parameter, it could be multi-parameter, they could be family parameter, okay, it could be a schedule key, or it could be key parameters. And so, but all that data, it's aggregated, it needs to be managed, and it has the potential to be scheduled and shared outside in the documentation or outside a project. And so a schedule, when we create a schedule, it's a tabular display of a lot of these parameters at the instance or the type level. So when we create a custom parameter, we need to decide, we need to make decisions about what that parameter is going to report and what category is going to get associated with. Let's add one parameter here. Let's add a checkbox that defines whether something is in scope or not. Sometimes models have that parameter to indicate the designer or the contractor whether something is in scope or is not in scope. And so if I want to have that custom parameter living as an instance inside a project, then I must create a new custom parameter. So let's do it together. To create a custom parameter, you go to the Manage tab, and then you hit the project parameters. Let me disable this. I hate this. I don't like the help, so I'm going to disable it here. Tooltip assistance, none. And I'm going to disable the selection by face. Okay, so again, to create a new parameter, you go to the Manage tab, and then you hit Project Parameters. And this is a list of the parameters already created for this particular project. This in Revit 2022, they added this filter in bigger projects, in particular multimillionaire scope projects. The list of project parameters can be long and extensive. And so this is new in Revit 2022, and it's the ability to filter the list of display parameters by type, by discipline, or by value. So you can also search a parameter. This is a new thing in Revit 2022. So if this list was very, very long and you want to like identify which are product parameters or share parameters, which I'm going to talk in a little bit, you can do that now. Like this project doesn't have any share parameter. You can sort parameters by discipline. A discipline, it's a property of a parameter. On architecture side, we always use the common discipline. And then the value type, it's this is the name of the parameter. This is a list of all different type of parameters. And so these are actually units and content type. Like if you just want to see parameters that report area units or that display perimeters. So this is a way to continue filtering information by value types. So I'm going to display all right now. This is a way to select with our type parameters, with our instance parameter. Okay, but we're going to create a new parameter that is called in scope. And it's a checkbox associated with the doors. And so that information doesn't ship out of the box, but we're going to add a new parameter. And notice there are two types of parameters, project parameters and shared parameters. Right now, I'm talking about shared project parameters. In a bit, I'm going to talk about shared parameters. So the name of the parameter, it's called in scope of work and a question mark. It's going to be an instance parameter because every door is going to have a separate unit. And I'm going to associate it to the category of doors. And the type of parameter, it's yes, no, that is a text box. But look at all the different type of parameters. You can report text, integers, angle, area, cost, length, dimensions, density, rotation, speed, time, volume, blah, blah, blah. You can report, this is the type of cell, the type of cell format holding the parameter value. So when I select this a yes, no, that means it's a Boolean, that's a checkbox. Yes. And then group parameter, it's under what group you want that to be displayed. A group, it's are all these headers with a gray background. That group parameter is at an instance or a type level. And so for my purposes, I'm going to say other. You can add tooltip descriptions if you want. These are like instructions for somebody who's filling out the information. And then I'm going to say, okay. Oh, I cannot have question mark. So I'm just going to say, is it in scope of work? That's it. And then I hit OK. And now every time I select a door, I'm going to see a new parameter at the very bottom. It says in scope of work, and you can click or unclick. And so you can selectively include doors that are in scope of work. Maybe some doors are not in scope of work, and then you can filter. You can use this checkbox as a filter to create your schedules.
So is the default is yes?
The default is yes. This was grayed out. That means and is yes. The default is yes. Like this one, you see how that by default is yes. So you have to go back and clean it. But you can select multiple doors at a time and change in bulk that value. Okay, and this added that piece of information to all the doors. That was adding a project parameter. And so what a project parameter is a parameter that lives inside a Revit project. And so a project parameter can be scheduled and can be tagged. No, it cannot be tagged. A project schedule can be a project, the values of a project parameter can be made part of a schedule, but they cannot be tagged. This is tagging a parameter like this. The door mark of the door mark value. It's a parameter that can be tagged, but project parameters cannot be tagged. That's one of the limitations. And so if we need our custom information to be able to be tagged, then we need to use share parameters. A share parameter, it's a parameter that is retrieved from a file of attributes that is defined by a company standard. In other words, a share parameter is a parameter that we don't create from scratch, but that we retrieve from a dictionary of parameters. And this dictionary of parameters, it's a file that is typically stored at the centralized location in a company server with the purpose of being used as a repository of company parameter standards. Let me bring, when we create a project, when we create a new project, again, when we create a new project parameter and we add a new parameter, you have the choice to leave it at the project level. And you actually can see here that it says the value will appear in schedules, but it's not going to appear in tags. So if you need that value to be embedded in tags, then it must be a shared parameter. The other advantage of using shared parameters is that they can be used across multiple projects. And information coming from multiple projects will stack in a shared schedule. When we create a schedule, we can aggregate linked parameters, and they will be displayed in a single model. So when you select the shared parameters, then you have to go and find that dictionary of values. So let me pick an example of a shared parameters. I think I might have one here. Give me a second. Okay, this is an example of a shared parameter file from a company I used to work. And it's this is the dictionary of parameter types. And they are segregated by group, and you can retrieve information about the name of the parameter, the type of format, the data format that they will report, and whether the whether the parameter is visible or not. And the most important part of a shared parameter file, it's this big character here. This is called the GID number. GID equal global unique identifier. And this is in the test next week. A global unique identifier, it's is how Revit process a parameter. Revit doesn't care about the name, the format, anything. They care about the GUID number. And so for multiple files to have a parameter that can be scheduled across, then you need to use a parameter with the same GUID number. In other words, if I create a custom parameter, say fire rating, and I'm creating a door schedule across multiple files that includes linked information, the only way that the fire rating is going to be able to stack in a single unified schedule is if it was a shared parameter and all the files share the same GID number. Otherwise, if you create project parameters in multiple projects, but they don't have the same GID number, they won't be able to stack. So that's why the shared parameter is a unique file that is saved in a central location with the objective of serve as a dictionary of parameters that it's used as a company standard across all the Revit models. So, I mean, this level of granularity might be too much for you to know, but it's important. I mean, this has about, I don't know, 150 different parameters. And this, I think this was a client. Yeah, this was I think this was Kaiser, who they have very, very specific type of parameters they want to retrieve from their equipment models. And so if you work for Kaiser, then expect them to use their shared parameter file, because this is information the client or their facility management expect you to retrieve for facility management purposes. So when you use a shared parameter, you actually go and use this text file, retrieve a parameter, and then assign a GUID number that would enable you to tag it and schedule. All right, so we're going to create a new shared parameter, and we're going to create a new shared parameter file. So for this project, I'm going to create a new parameter for the walls. Let's see what's here. Yeah, a new parameter for the walls that indicates whether the if it's a smoke partition or not. Or no, no, the value for the acoustic properties is called SCA, is that right? What's the name?
STC, STC.
SCC?
No, S, sound transmission coefficient, STC.
STC, that's correct. ARE question. Okay, so there's not a type property that is called STC. And maybe that's information we want to include in our partition types and partition schedules. There's going to be a type parameter, and it's going to be a share parameter because I want it to be a company standard. And also, if you want to extract that information in schedules across multiple projects, all this have to use the same GeoID number. So I'm going to create a new share parameter file, and then I'm going to add a new parameter called for walls called STC, and I'm going to retrieve it from the share parameter file. Okay, the first step is to, this process may be skipped if you already have a share parameter file. But if you discover that you don't have a company share parameter file, maybe this is useful for you. Go to the Manage tab and then click Share Parameters. And I'm not sure you have anything connected to your share parameters. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new share parameter file. So on the upper right side, again, go to the Manage tab, hit Share Parameters, and we're going to create a new share parameter file. The share parameter file, it's a TXT file. And I'm going to place it on my test folder. I have you can find a location, you can place this on your end. I'm going to put it on this custom folder. And then I'm going to call this shared parameters. And then I click Save. So when you create a share parameter file from scratch, at the start of the process, there's no parameter. It's an empty file. And it's a file with the extension TXT. And so the first thing you have to do is to segregate, or create parameter groups. There's no parameter groups here. And so without parameter groups, you cannot create a parameter. So I'm going to create a new group. And a group is a way to organize the parameters. So my new group, you hit New here. I'm going to call this wall parameter. No, just maybe partition. Partitions. And so this under the group of partitions, I can now create a parameter. So I'm going to call this, you create a new parameter here. The name is STC rating. And what discipline this belongs to, 99% of what you do is going to be common. What type of information is going to report? What do you think? STC ratings are numerical values with decimals, is that right? And so most likely you want to report a number. Or you can do it as a text if you want to. Text will allow you to combine all type of characters. Let's do text. And then you hit OK here. So this is my first parameter in my share parameter file. And I can continue adding more parameters. Let's add another parameter. Let's do one that says if a partition need a diagonal bracing. I'm just coming up with something. And this is a Boolean. So diagonal bracing required. The type of parameter, it's just no. And then you hit OK. And so you keep adding the list of information that is important for your documentation, but it's not provided with Revit out of the box. And these are parameters that are going to be associated with partition. And so forth you do for different group parameters. You can create a group that is for specialty equipment or for medical equipment. And then you add all the parameters with the values and the format cells that are associated with the client requirements. I'm not going to create more. I'm just going to add these two parameters, and then this parameter file, if it's a company standard, then must be placed on a central location. Now, only a handful of people should be able to create parameters, because it's a big deal. It's defining what information is important for your project. And so usually BIM managers just give read-only access to this text file. And then if a user requires a specific information, then they edit it for you. This is in particular, this is true for large organizations. In the small practices, then if you have a Revit savvy person who knows what they're doing, then you can allow it to edit or add a parameter. So this is how we build a shared parameter file. So I'm going to hit OK here. And so that we understand what's happening in the background, I'm going to go and open that file. So that TXT file that I just created has, this is what's happening. Now the first line is very clear. This is the share parameter file. And the second list says, do not edit manually. If we by chance edit any of these values, then the parameter become unused. And so the STC rating, it's the name of the parameter. It's reporting text information. The next is the data type. There's a numerical nomenclature associated with the type of information it reports. Text is number one, but then if you put number, angle, weight, speed, then there's going to have a different numerical value. Group, there's a number associated with the group inside the share parameter file. Whether it's visible or not, I mean, it's going to be disclosed in the properties or not. If you added a description, and then I don't know what this last two means. User modifiable, that means that it can be edited by anyone, and then hide when there's no value. That means not sure exactly how you control that. But anyway, this is the share parameter file, and this is going to continue growing, just like I show you that sample file. But the most important part here is the GID number, the global unique identifier. All right, so we're going to add the STC rating to the walls. So what you do is go to the Manage tab and create a project parameter. We're going to add a new parameter. And then we're going to click Share Parameter. I have to select a new share parameter file. And you should be connected to the new share parameter file that we created with only 2 parameters. If you're missing the path, you can always hit here, edit, and then browse and look for that text file. But that shouldn't be happening because when we create a share parameter file, it automatically saved the path with it. Okay, so I'm going to select the STC rating. Then I hit OK. Select the STC rating from this list and then hit OK. And so what happens, look at this parameter information, it's filled out automatically because that information is coming from the dictionary. You don't have the ability to change that. Revit filled this information for us so that it's consistent from project to project. Okay, this is going to be a type property associated with the category of walls. Every type is going to have an STC designation. And I'm going to place this rating, this parameter, I'm going to group it under, you can pick something here that makes sense for the walls. STC, it's a property that display maybe the construction, either construction or identity data. This is where in the list of parameters this is going to sit. All right, you with me here? Then I hit OK. Hit OK. And now nested as a type parameter, if I select this wall and I look at the type parameter, under the construction parameters, you're going to see the STC rating. You can add here the value. I don't know, maybe it's 32. For every, it's a type parameter, so every interior partition that's 1 hour is going to have that STC rating. And I apply it, and every time you see that this partition, then the STC rating will be there. And so the bottom line here is that understand 2 things. That project parameters are created just for an individual file. They can be scheduled, but you cannot tag them. Share parameters are retrieved from a share parameter files. They should be used across multiple files. They you can tag and schedule a share parameter, and then it comes pre-loaded with parameter definitions. All you need to do is to assign it to a category. And so when you are in need of adding a custom parameter of anything in Revit, you need to make decisions. Is it going to be a project parameter, meaning is it relevant just for this project, or does it need to be shared across multiple files? Does it need to be tagged or not? is the new parameter a company standard, then it's a shared parameter. And then as you create the parameter, you need to respond to questions. Is it an instance parameter? Is this a type parameter? What type of information is going to report? Is it a text, number, angle, dimension? What category is going to be associated to? So all of that happened here. Now in Revit 2019, they started this thing called global parameter. And a global parameter, think of it as a universal variable that could be called into formulas. An example of a global parameter, I don't know, it's like a single value that is common, that could be used in formulas across all the parameter types. I don't know, maybe something called construction type. Now this global parameter it's just a variable. It's a variable that is universally accessible inside formulas. And I haven't talked about formulas, but I'm going to do for example, I'm going to create a new global parameter, and let's say something that is universal is the minimum width corridor. And the minimum width corridor has a length and it's reporting dimensions. And the minimum width corridor, let's say it's 3 feet. Okay, and then another global parameter, it's countertop height or ADA height. And so those pieces of information can be added to formulas, and Revit automatically is not going to know what that is. So it doesn't necessarily need to contain numerical values, but it's also text information. For example, address, project address, or subconsultant name or subconsultant address. These are parameters that you can pull. It's a database. This is a database of values that can be brought into formulas if needed. Okay, so, but my point here was the difference between project parameters and shared parameters. So, any question about this? You want me to repeat anything I did?
I've got one question. Back in type properties, it's the SDC rating is reporting is 32 with about 6 zeros. You wouldn't want to put that in a schedule if it showed up. Is there a way to get rid of all the decimal point? Or is that an easy thing to do, or is that possible? I guess.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah, when you create a numerical value, let's do an example. I'm gonna manage. I'm gonna create a new project parameter. And I'm just gonna do a price, and it's gonna be number. I think number, and it's gonna be under others, and it will be associated with walls. Number by default is going to inherit the project setting of the minimum decimals. So I do this here, Now, when I select this, the price, oh, I think I did it instances. Didn't I? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it came with those 6. And so what's happening is that Revit, it's will apply the global settings on numbers. And so under the project units, under manage project units, where it says angle, area, cost, distance. I don't see the just the value there, the number. All of this, so it has to do with this, with the rounding and the rounding increments. But we can do that when we create a schedule. So in the instance property is going to show all this. But I think when we create a new schedule of walls, for example, and I add, and we haven't looked at schedules yet, but when I add in the schedule the price, yeah, when you add the price to the schedule and then you edit the parameter, so you see how 23 only all the decimals show up in the schedule if it's highlighted, but it doesn't show up in the schedule. And this is something that you can override in the schedule using this format units. But this is you can say fixed with 2 decimal places. And now it's only 2. So to answer your question, you can apply decimal overrides only in the schedule, but then in the property windows and the type properties is always going to show with the 6 values.
Thanks.
Okay, any other question? Damn, it's 7 already. Let's do a very quick schedule, and then because I want to show you how to create a typical door schedule, and then next class I'm gonna show you how to create a sheet list, which is something we're always going to do, and then move the discussion into rooms. So to create a schedule, it's a tabular representation of parameter values of objects of the same category. A schedule allows us to cherry pick parameters from in an incremental order, in a sequence, and it will display the information in a table that you can place in sheets. So we're going to create a new schedule of doors. Before we do that, let's go to the units and let's switch this to feet and inches, because I think the dimensions right now are in millimeters. So to change the units of a project, you go to the Manage tab and then go to Project Units. And we're going to change length. We're going to change it to feet and fractional units. Again, this is under the Manage tab. And then look for the project units under Settings. And in the project units, change the distance to feet. Change the length units to feet and fractional inches. Here it is. This is the global rounding of dimensions. You can leave it at a 1/2 inch default. You can leave it at 1/4 of an eighth. I guess some people might argue that a 1/4 will be fine at the detail level, or maybe an eighth. But this is the global setting. You can override it at dimensional family values. And then the areas, I'm going to change it to meters, square feet, sorry, square feet. So area, distance, and length. Those are the ones I change. The rest I can ignore. And then hit OK. You can see now that the dimension strings change to reflect feet and inches. All right, let's build a schedule of doors, and then we close the session. Next class, I will continue with schedules. So we go to the View tab, and then you hit Schedule of Quantities. There are all these different types, but we're going to do a schedule of quantities. And here you're going to pick the category of doors. You can do multi-categories. Like if you click Control, if you hit this multi-category schedule, it's going to look for parameters that are common across all the categories and display them. But that's rarely used, to be honest. What I'm going to do now is to create a door schedule. And this is the name of the schedule. It's scheduling components associated with a phase, new construction. And then hit OK. So this is the schedule properties. It's made of all these 5 different tabs: field, filter, sort, formatting, appearance. And over here, you have the list of all the parameters available for the door category. In the panel on the right is the list of parameters that are going to be selected to be scheduled. So to get started, I'm going to select the width, the door width, the height, maybe the thickness. These are panel information. What else? Information about the frame. So there is frame type, frame material. You can also schedule the panel material. I don't think there is a panel material. Oh, the mark value is the first one. Right? That's the very, very first one. The mark value is the door ID. So select the mark value and move it. The order of this parameter from top to bottom is the way they're going to read from left to right. So you can move the parameters up and down using the move parameters arrow. So I'm going to move the mark all the way to the top because that's the very first parameter. And just to simplify this, I'm going to add the file rating, which is type parameter. And that should be to the bottom. The finish, the door finish. And maybe some comments. They made me bored, but I'm okay with this. So we have mark, width, height, thickness, frame type, frame material, fire rating, finish. You can add glass type as well. I don't think we have glass here. No, there's no glass type. Okay, so just hit OK here. And this is going to create a schedule of doors. There's a lot of information that is empty here, hasn't been filled out. But you can go into the model and add the information there, or you can just type it here directly. The information is sorted from alphabetically using the first value, using the mark value. Actually, that's not true. This is sorted. This is, right now is not sorted by anything. So we need to find a way to sort this information. In the door schedule, if you go to sorting and grouping and hit edit button under the schedule properties, you can sort this information using the mark values. And then hit OK. And now they're sorted incrementally using the first value. Okay, so let's save this file. And we're going to come back to this next class. I'm going to show you how to create, how to display totals, how to aggregate subtotals, how to filter information, and then how to add values in bulk. Then we're going to move into the discussion of rooms and area plans, and we'll do that on Tuesday. Okay, so again, save this file and then close it. I forgot to broadcast the class, but it's getting recorded on Zoom, so I'm going to download it and upload it as soon as I can, maybe first time in the morning tomorrow. And if you want to stay over and have a one-on-ones, please stay. Otherwise, I'll see you Tuesday, and have a great weekend.
Bye, Cesar. Thank you.
Thanks, Cesar.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Cesar.
Thank
good
you,
one.
Cesar. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one.
Enjoy it.
So it's me.
Yeah.
I can't save the file. When I tried to save it, it's telling me it's read-only or opened by somebody else.
Did you download it from Google Drive?
No, well, I did. I think I had it already, and then I actually downloaded it twice because I didn't realize that you were sharing the same file that's already available.
I was editing this file from
I think that's why I did it, because you said that you were going to change the format, and I thought that that was.
Oh, okay. What may have happened is that I must have had the file open directly from Google Drive, and then the solution to that, can you save it as a different file?
So I should save it as a project, right?
Yeah, save as a project and give it a different number, a new
Okay,
name.
because I was trying to do that. Let me see. Unable to write. It's read-only or opened by somebody else.
Even
I
when
gave it a different name.
you're given a different name?
Yeah.
You do you mind sharing your screen?
Mm, Do you see it?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Okay. So you did complete everything, right? And so just go file, yeah, save as.
Yeah, that's how I did it. Project,
Yeah.
and then I just.
Oh,
gave-
don't do it in this folder. This is the sample folder. If you do it, I don't know, in your another folder, maybe your desktop or
Here, in my
yeah, here it
download.
goes.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not even gonna change the name, or should
Yeah,
I?
you don't need to change the name.
Oh, yeah, now it does. Yeah, now it's working.
Yeah, the sample files is now read only because
Yeah,
Autodesk realized that people was overwriting files that were intended to be for you. So if you save it somewhere else, then it will work.
another question. I got the properties and the project browser, they're, on top of each other. And I don't know how to decouple them. And I
So-
also don't know, I was trying to dock it again to the left where it was, but it's not gonna do that, it's only wants to sit horizontally, which I don't like.
Yeah, so click on the property window, that header, yeah. And then select it and drag it to the left until the cursor touches the screen edge. So drag it to the left until the cursor touches the screen edge.
There you go. Doesn't want to do it.
Oh, have you maximized can you maximize your Revit? Yeah. Oh, that's right again. And then slide it to the left until it touches the edge of the screen.
I'm sliding it, but it's just falling off of the
Yeah, so
screen.
click it, there you go. Oh. Do you have multiple screens?
Yes.
Is it showing up in the other screen?
No, not at all.
How weird.
I'm keeping the Revit here. So you see, it wants to sit on top horizontally.
Yeah. Okay. Close it here. Close the property windows. Yeah. And let's open it again. Go to the View tab.
Okay.
And then the last icon, User Interface,
Uh-huh.
and then Properties. Oh, it always put it there. How fun. How strange. Let me try this. I'm going to request remote control. I'm going to try to do it myself.
Okay.
So just let me, yeah, I'm controlling your screen, I believe. Okay, so this is the cursor,
Mm-hmm.
and then I touch.
Oh,
So let me see what I did.
well, you just did what you were saying. You just touched and it worked, but it's a little finicky. I mean, this touching,
Yeah, so when I click on the property head, on the property window, then I slide it to the left.
That's
And then
exactly what I was saying.
do you see that blue thing that pops up? a little blue thing that has to show up, and then it's gonna stack it.
Okay, all right, and
I have to-
so can I have my screen back?
yeah, view options, give up control. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna open the project browser, but now they're stacked. So how do I unstack them?
Okay, click on the project browser tab. Yeah, that one. Keep it pressed and drag away.
Uh-huh.
And release. Now it's stacked on the side. It's separated now.
Yes, it's separated, but I would like to have them sit on top of each
How
other,
to sit on top?
one above the other, to see both of them at the same time.
Yeah. So you stack the project browser to the left, just like we did with the properties. Yes. And now grab the property windows from the title. Yeah. Press it
Uh-huh.
and move on top of, move to the project browser title.
Like this.
And you should see like a preview. Stack it again.
I stuck again.
It's you mind if I control it?
No, go ahead. But I mean, this is pretty basic. I would like to know how to do it.
Yeah, but it's really, really subtle. So I'm gonna do this here. So I select this and drag out. And then I'm gonna stack this to the left. Okay. And I'm going to select the property window from the top. And you see how it's, I see that, you see that preview?
Yes. Mhm.
That preview is really subtle, but because it could be the full thing. If it's the full thing, it's gonna stack it again.
Yes, on top.
inside.
Uh-huh.
But
Mhm.
if I move it just slightly below where I see that preview
Uh-huh.
there,
Uh-huh.
that's where I release it and I have it on top.
Yeah, great. Excellent.
It's really subtle.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks for
Just-
asking this. I'll stop,
Do I have my screen back? I do.
give up remote control. Yep. You can stop sharing. And I'll stop the meeting. Well, thank you, Vanna. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.